Welcome back. This channel is geared toward young men who find today's society confusing. Previously, I discussed how men surrender power through poor custodianship of their health. Poor personal presentation will cause a man to lose power. Many aspects go into a man's personal presentation beyond mere physical appearance. A good physical appearance can be translated into power, but will be wasted if other aspects are neglected. I will discuss several of these components in this video. Some of the aspects of personal presentation I'll be covering are posture, clothing, grooming, fitness, speech, vocabulary, politeness, courtesy, assertiveness, and decisiveness. How one holds one's body is how I will define posture. Both sitting and standing posture is important when dealing with other people. Poor posture will cause others to judge you unfavorably, while a good posture will lead to an initial favorable judgment. It is important to understand when to relax and when to stand and sit up straight. Practice standing as if someone was holding a line connected to your spine. Practice sitting in a formal occasion with your back away from the back of the chair. Observe how others stand and sit to look for examples of good and poor posture. Powerful people will have good posture. How one dresses can have a great influence on one's personal power. It is important to dress properly for the occasion. Not only the clothing, but the cleanliness and fit are also important. When I was in college, every business major had to read a book entitled Dress for Success. We also attended seminars and presentations on how one should properly dress for various occupations and situations. Notice that most powerful men wear a suit. It will be necessary to own a few suits and tailor them so they fit properly. Wear them so that you are comfortable wearing them. Also wear proper casual clothes when appropriate. Observe others to see what is appropriate. Some jobs will have extremely casual atmospheres when it comes to dress. If you are fortunate to be in one of these jobs, it is still important to dress neatly. Eventually, you will have to learn how to create a style that is unique to you. Wear clean clothes. There are some men that don't do this. A proper fit is also important. Try to have suits tailored to you. Starting out a career, this might not be feasible, but in time, properly tailored suits can give you an edge over others. Grooming is a key facet of personal presentation. I will also include hygiene in this section. All things being equal, someone well-groomed will have more influence than a slob. I have seen men lose out on opportunities due to poor grooming habits. Some of these opportunities were jobs, other opportunities were with women. Of course, it is important to remember the environment one inhabits to determine proper grooming habits. A man working in a conservative corporate environment will have very different grooming standards than a man who is a member of a successful punk rock band. Notice the grooming standards of other men in powerful positions. Sometimes facial hair is acceptable, and sometimes it is not. It is important to adjust accordingly. Never neglect personal hygiene. It is rare that a man with poor personal hygiene obtains power. A fit man will have better personal presentation than a man that is not fit. A man that is overweight will have to fight a poor first impression compared to a fit man. While overweight men can and do obtain power, however, all things being equal, a fit man can obtain power more easily than an overweight man. People react favorably to a man that is fit. I once dated a woman who told me when I asked her what she found attractive in men. She answered, "Neat and thin. It may not seem like much, but look around." I did, and I saw many overweight men dressed like slobs. This is something that takes some effort. Once it is understood that fitness is a source of power, a man should make every effort to stay as fit as possible. Speaking is a skill that constantly needs to be improved. Proper grammar, articulation, and volume are all important components when speaking to influence others. Many men surrender power by being poor speakers. Speech has the ability to immediately change an impression. When I was in the Army, we were taught the importance of a command voice in officer candidate school. Poor grammar can make one appear ignorant and simple. Mistakes such as double negatives, improper verb use, and misusing the words good and well could cause others to judge you less favorably than if proper grammar was used. Slurring and mumbling are ways to give a bad impression when speaking. It is important to articulate properly. It is possible to record and listen to how one speaks in order to practice and improve. Volume is important when speaking to large groups. If an audience struggles to understand a speaker because they have to strain to hear the speaker, then the speaker will be perceived as weak and not confident. Practice speaking with volume while not yelling. A person that has to resort to yelling and screaming is not a person that is in control, and thus not a person in power. People will judge others by the words that are used in speaking. It is important to have a large vocabulary, both to speak and to understand. The English language is very flexible. Many people who speak a different primary language have difficulties understanding some of the subtleties of English. It is important to continually expand one's vocabulary. It is also important to use this expanded vocabulary in a way that is natural. If one appears to pause to try to use more complicated words to make a point, that person will be seen as someone trying to impress others and fake. I have left a video of Howard Cossell in the description box. He is speaking to a group of people about the baseball player Jackie Robinson. Watch the video and pay attention to how Mr. Cossell speaks and effectively uses vocabulary. Command of the English language and strong speaking skills can be a source of power to a man. Always be prepared to verbally defend yourself with wit, reason, and passion, and not hysterical screaming. Many people equate politeness with weakness. Being polite will cause people to respond to one in a positive manner. This does not mean that one tolerates being disrespected. I advocate making being polite and respectful as a default character trait when dealing with people. This will cause less tension and stress when dealing with others. One should only be disrespectful when it is obvious that the other person or people in the interaction have no intention of being polite or respectful. However, this does not mean becoming hysterical or overly emotional. Learn how to be disrespectful to others when it is necessary and doing it with class. Always remember that third parties could be watching the interaction, and it is necessary to have them keep a favorable impression of you in order to acquire and maintain power. This takes practice. But a good way to start is to make a commitment to treat strangers with politeness and respect. It does not cost anything, and many of these people will only be in your life for a brief moment, so they are unable to take advantage of you. Like politeness, courtesy extended towards others will often leave them with a positive impression. Have being courteous towards others the default in personal interactions. Courtesy towards others will often lead to pleasant interactions. People often remember how an interaction felt instead of the substance of the interaction. Courtesy is a way to get people to feel good about being around you. This is not about remembering complex set of rules of etiquette. While in some circles these are important, and if one is to thrive in these circles, the rules of etiquette must be learned and applied. What I mean here is a simple way of interacting with others in a conscious way that attempts to keep the interaction as pleasant as possible. A good way to practice this is to be respectful to customer service employees when interacting with them. I have received better and preferential treatment and service simply by being polite and courteous. Being unnecessarily rude and unpleasant will cause others to distance themselves from you and not care for your welfare. It is also important for one to establish boundaries and ruthlessly enforce those boundaries. Learn the art of being assertive without being alienating. Assertiveness is a skill that can be improved with practice so that it will become natural. This can be accomplished by saying no when it is necessary to do so. As a man grows, he will pursue goals, have experiences, and obtain preferences. Many times, others will seek to distract or sidetrack a man from what he wants to do with his life. It is these occasions that a man needs to set boundaries and ruthlessly enforce them. This does not mean that a man can be helpful to others in need. However, a man must gauge if such help will be detrimental to him in any way. The relationship with the person to be helped needs to be considered. Close friends that have helped each other will be given more consideration for sacrifice than strangers. Try to be aware of how boundaries are enforced so that it decreases the probability of alienation. This is a skill that can be improved with practice. Always keep what is in your best interest at heart. A small dose of selfishness in this matter is okay. Sometimes it is necessary to make a quick decision. It is important to train to differentiate between the need for a quick decision and the need for a more thought-out decision. Making quick decisions when it is necessary to do so will allow others to gain confidence in your decision-making abilities. This confidence is a source of power. Not every such decision will be the correct decision, but if one can make a high percentage of these decisions correct, one will be perceived as decisive. It is important to understand that many such decisions will not have any substantial consequence for being incorrect. For example, if someone asks you where you want to eat lunch, a quick decision is often more important than one where you eat lunch. There's really no wrong answer in this case. If the people that ask you disagree, they are free to offer alternatives so that there is no negative consequence for the original quick decision. Other decisions need to have more thought put into them before they are made. Examples of such decisions are where to go to college, a choice of major, a choice of career, and to purchase a house. Decisiveness is another trait that can be improved with practice. Personal presentation is a key component in acquiring personal power. Always be aware of how you present yourself to others and never neglect improving your presentation. I covered a lot in this video, but I hope it will help young men pay attention to their personal presentation and use it to acquire power. Power can be surrendered through poor personal presentation. Don't let it happen to you. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for listening.